Good morning. That was a great setup for the conversation that we're going to have over the next few minutes, because both Mickey and Michael and Matt, did you figure out they were all MBs? Did you get that in those? Each of them talked about the sort of seamlessness. They talked about, I think it was Matt who said, the shopper, the consumer, he said, doesn't see the differences. It's all part of the brand, whichever way we come from it. And that's the role I'm going to play today, the sort of shopper advocate, if you will. I'm going to talk a little bit about this sort of new digital shopperscape that we are all hearing right this moment, this morning, about this sort of rock and rolling, changing the dynamic of this, where we're really trying to figure out what it's all about. Heather from NARS talked about the fact that this whole notion, it's all about trial and error, or the passion that she mentioned about, if you build it, actually they won't come, or they may not come. And I think that's everything we know, right? We fall in love with this fabulous thing in our hand, and we try to integrate it into what we do in the company, and we assume that it will drive the shopper to the store, whether that store is bricks or clicks or some omni-channel conversion of it. But in reality, this is the wild, wild west at the moment. So what I'm going to try and do in the next few minutes is ground that, and ground it from the view of the shopper. So think about this for a second. I mean, for a long time, if Mickey didn't want to talk about age, I don't certainly want to talk about age, but for a long time, our focus has been around helping clients, manufacturers and retailers build retail strategy, whatever form that retail took or takes moving forward. And the way we've always been able to help them do it is by focusing on not the consumer as she consumes or he consumes, but as they shop, how their attitudes and behaviors and lifestyles define that shopping proposition. So we do a lot of research around how people shop in the US and around the world. And we've always said, if you follow the shopper, you will see the future. Well, in the 25 years we've been doing business, there have probably been two major disruptors in the landscape. One was a company called Walmart. And whether we're in the luxury business or we're in the popular price business, whatever kind of business we are in, Walmart changed the way shoppers in this country and around the world think about value. The other disruptor is what we're all here to talk about today. It's disrupted the landscape in the last 5 years. But it hasn't disrupted it necessarily in the way we sometimes think. So I'm going to give you sort of a reality check in that conversation, and at least set you thinking hopefully in a couple of different ways. What's stunning about digital, and I know you're all converts because you wouldn't be here otherwise, is how it's already impacted retail. So think about just some of the things that have happened in the last 24 months, let's say. And in digital terms, that's dog years, right? So that's 5,000 millennia or something like that. So anyway, first of all, we've heard that there are now too many bricks and mortar stores, and the likes of Barnes and Nobles, Best Buy, other retailers either said, we don't need as many stores now because people are coming to a digital store. But in reality, we don't need as many stores, and that changes the entire framework for everybody who does business at retail in whatever form. The largest global retailer in the world, aforementioned Walmart, said, one, they don't need as many big stores, so are creating smaller formats, 15,000 square foot stores, but they're also bringing digital more within their company, and even here, opening a store to tell their digital story, bringing old and new world together. Commodities have disappeared or are beginning to disappear out of the aisles of some stores. Whether it's diapers, why do I need to have diapers, walk down the aisle, pick it up in the car, drive? I mean, I need it every week, right? What am I going to do? It's too much. Dog food, all of those kinds of things that now actually have become an online proposition. Now people don't have to walk down that aisle as often, every day, every week into the store. Department stores, and we've heard the conversation between Saks and Nordstrom talking about the need to be more accessible, more customized, more personalized in whatever way they can do that in this kind of new world. Experiential retail is growing dramatically because if people don't want to come into the physical space, and we heard Michael talk about it, we have to create some kind of interesting experience like Sephora is doing. It's not enough to have Sephora.com be a brilliant proposition. We have to make the stores more engaging. Luxury has gone from breaking every rule of the book. Down the runway, it used to be, the collections would go down the runway and then you'd wait another, if you could afford it, another 6 months until they landed up in Saks or Nordstrom's or Neiman Marcus or Bergdorf's or wherever else. Today, Burberry has turned that on their head. The fashion goes down the runway and select things can be ordered instantly online on a click, changing the nature of the proposition. In places like Brazil, C&A let the friend be the sales associate, and you can see Facebook likes on the hangers that tell you how many people actually like those clothes. Oh my heavens, how fabulous is that? Or confusing, or not, but who are those people? We've seen online stores say, no, we need physical spaces because there are times when people really want to have that physical experience of the brands. We've seen Amazon, who began in sort of the commodity world, now taking on high fashion. And of course, we've seen retail go everywhere, and everyone in this room, I assume, because you're in the digital space, has seen this picture of the virtual grocery store that Tesco and Home Plus developed on the subways in Seoul, South Korea, to create a different way to engage in buying groceries while you're waiting on the subway platform. I always say, being the queen of the #1 line in New York, that actually, if this were the Manhattan subway, you'd be fighting to get to the milk. Excuse me, I need to order my milk. But what's interesting about this is not just that this was created, but how quickly this concept translated around the world from on your left to Chile, in a supermarket in Chile, to a department store chain in London, to Walmart creating a virtual holiday store in Canada. The speed at which the idea translated. It's exactly what everybody in this room has said today. It's all changing so fast. And traditional retail, if there ever was such a term, is changing with all of that. And that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about the fact that we have a new retail order, that we have a new shopper mindset that's driving that digital, in fact, changes everything. That there is a new shopping world, and then I'm going to give you 6 things just to think about as you move back into your own bricks or clicks or both landscape as we go. So let's just think for a minute about the new retail order. Here's the thing we need to know. The shopper is in control. She and he are in the center of all of this. This is what retail used to look like, right? It was this vertical hierarchy where most of us in this room, the brands and the retailers, had all the power, and the shoppers sort of followed on like serfs, you know, following the master. Yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full, sir. That's not what it looks like today. It's flat. Now, flat, I don't mean to say that in terms of sales, although that's a challenge by itself, but retail is horizontal now. It's transparent. I can see it all. I can shop it all, regardless of who I am. I am informed by a technology cloud that gives me access to information at any time of the day and night, and you heard some of that in this room this morning. And the underpinning is a conversation I can have with what I call friends and strangers, people I do and don't know, but people I can engage with that sometimes I trust actually more than I trust you. As a result of that, shoppers are in control. They are all seeing and they are all knowing, and that's a very different proposition from what we saw 5 years ago or even 10 years ago. More than that, and we heard this a little today, they have more shopping choices than ever before. More, and they are using all those choices to their best advantage all day, every day. That's the difference in the last 5 years. It's what we now call on-demand retail. When she wants it, and she expects you to deliver it to her, and for those guys, I'm sure you do too. What else is transforming this notion about the shopper mindset? Well, they are absolutely value obsessed, and we heard that in the conversation this morning, and I think it was with Heather, and somebody asked, well, why didn't you do a promotion or a discount? And she talked about the value was the experience, the game. And that's very much driving at all levels the way shoppers think about digital and the way they engage with retail in any form. Here's the thing that should keep us all awake at night. This is from our 2012 How America Shops Megatrend study. We've been doing this study for 20-some years. 8 out of 10 American women, the numbers were a little less for men, but 8 out of 10 American women said, as of last year, They expected the recession to go on at least 3 or more years. That's in 2012. The official recession ended 2 years ago, right? That's those old rich white guys in suits in Washington who say that. But from a shopper perspective, it's still here. As a result, they have become very, very focused in value. That number is up 37 points in 2 years. They don't see it as getting better. They see having to get on with it. And it's across all income groups. It's not about high income or low income, people unemployed or people employed. It's a mindset in the American culture. On top of that, or because of that, 2/3 of women around this country now say when they begin and end their day, they ask themselves, is this a smart use of my money? Whether I'm buying goods and services of any form, was I wise? Was I foolish? Did I overspend? Was it worth my time? Was it worth the trip on the car? Was it worth sitting up at night clicking on my keyboard? That's a major issue. And it's not just lower income or middle income shoppers, it's also higher income shoppers. That's where they begin and end the proposition. Is this a smart use of my money? As a result, they become not omni-channel shoppers, they become hyper-channel shoppers, looking for value in all those places they can shop. And that's what changes their framework. That's what changes the sort of notion of where they're headed. When we did our first How America Shops study, and you can see I think we learned to design covers better, but in 1989, we're getting better. We tracked 10 channels. Today we track nearly 30, and it included online 10 years ago, internet, emerging into digital, mobile, all forms of ways people shop. And Mickey's right, this isn't about channels anymore. It isn't about a digital channel. It's about a whole ecosystem of shopping places. And that's what changes the picture. Shoppers now want to buy anything, anywhere, anytime, anyhow, and they expect retailers and brands to deliver it, whether it's in a shopping trolley and its diapers, or it's in a fabulous Nordstrom, shout out to the Nordstrom or the Saks, shopping bag. Whatever it is, they expect us to deliver on that. And that's where digital comes in. It enables the smart shopping behavior. That technology cloud, all those strangers wandering around under our feet who inform us, that's where digital plays such a huge role. We just published a new study called From Buzz to Buy 3.0. 3.0 because it's the third in the series. And we've done this every year because for all the reasons you talked about before, it's changing so fast. And this is a study where we're really grounding the notion of where is the buzz actually impacting the buy. So I'm going to share with you just a little bit of data around that. There's tons more, but I don't want to burden us with facts, of course. But the notion of grounding how this is impacting us and how it's changing the conversation and helping people be smart shoppers. These are all the places men and women, well actually this is data for women, sorry, women tell us they go for information on shopping. Look at all these places. 10 years ago, most of these didn't exist, right? Yes, we had friends and family, 74%, but they tended to be friends and family that we really knew, you know, in person, not online, offline. 10 years ago, we had TV and magazines, right? That's 44%, and we had the sales associate in the store. Everything else is new, whether it's manufacturer websites or retailer websites or emails that we talked about that we heard from Carly today, whether it's product review sites, whether it's social networking sites, all the places people now go for information. And the value of those sites is changing. I won't read the small print for you, but there are two things you should know. Maybe not surprising, the value of TV and magazines or print media going down. We've heard that conversation before. Thank you, Women's Wear Daily, for your lovely app that we use all the time. The importance of manufacturer and retailer websites. Retailers are becoming much more important. Manufacturer websites falling to a comparative level. But the dynamics of this in the last 12 months have been quite significant, dramatic, and the body in the store, the sales associate, actually getting slightly more important as people use the sales associate to create a different kind of shopping experience. Here's one of the biggest ahas from this recent study. Nearly 3/4 of women said they now read or write peer reviews. That's a huge number, but more important, it's growing. Nearly a third say they're doing it more than they did a year ago. And here's the real big message. Peer reviews are now driving the buy, because once I start to ask from you, I'm in the mindset. 71% say I'm better informed after peer reviews, and nearly 7 out of 10 say, and now I am ready to buy. The value of engagement of that network below our feet in all the ways that I can contact and talk to people becomes hugely powerful today. And where does social media fit in all of this? Well, just to toss it in, certainly it has an influence. It's down at the bottom of that chart that you saw before. But what's interesting to me about this, sometimes we think it's all about following the Kardashians or Justin or who's married to whom and who just got divorced and whatever. But the reality is brands and retailers are right in the key space here now as a place that people who follow on Facebook and Twitter really use their shopping tool for. It's not just following celebrities or television shows or movies now. It is about knowledge about shopping. In the store, that proposition is changing dramatically too. Nearly 4 or just over 4 out of 10 women tell us they use their smartphone in the store to shop for lots of different reasons. What was a big aha for us was actually that number declined year over year, and it was like, my heavens, what is that all about? That made us very nervous until we realized why it declined. Because 15% of people are now using their tablet or e-reader to shop. I will tell you a funny story. I was speaking at a conference, NRF conference last week, and what was stunning to me in the space, there were maybe 500 people in the room, was the fact that people were using their iPads to take pictures of every slide. So at every slide went up, this whole wall of people, it was sort of like, we're taking click, click, and I had to say to people, listen, this is a build slide, wait till the 6th one, you'll get it all at once. It's like the inauguration, right? If you saw the pictures of the President and First Lady dancing, and then you saw all in the front, what did you see? All these cameras taking pictures of all of this, but it was the same kind of proposition. The importance of people to have the tool in store to change or inform their decision is growing overall, using all the tools at hand. And they've got lots of reasons to use them. Everything from taking the picture. Now, I take a lot of pictures in stores, so does our whole team, sneaky pictures. You know, get kicked out of store pictures. Now, you're kicking out, you could very well be kicking out a customer, right? A shopper. So you better be very careful who you're kicking out. Lots of price comparisons are going on. Sometimes if you're out of stock, where do I go? What store might have it in stock? Finding coupons, product information, reading the reviews, telling people, yoo-hoo, I'm shopping. It's okay if you're chief shopper. I don't know why other people are telling other people they're shopping, but you know, who knows? Maybe they need a date in the store. The big story around this is that the path to purchase that we've all been hearing about is changing, and changing very, very fast. And that's what we have to think about in this kind of rock and roll, Wild West world of digital and the impact of digital on all our lives as brand marketers and as retailers. So what does the shopping world look like? What is it going to look like? Well, here's the story that we have to ground ourselves in, right? It's this. Good news for all the retailers in the room. You don't need me to tell you. In the foreseeable future, bricks and mortar retailing is not going away. It doesn't matter that Amazon is projected to be the #2 retailer in the world by 2016, #2 after Walmart. Even if that's not true in the end, it's stunning that we even conceive of it. But the reality check is that the physical store is not going to go away anytime soon. By 2013, and many of you may know these numbers, you know, the total US retail sales, online and offline, are projected to be $3 trillion. Of that, less than 10% will be pure online sales. But that's not really the point. There are 2 points here. One is, and I think Mickey said it, the sort of seamlessness of this. It's not about digital here and bricks there. It is about the seamlessness from the shopper experience. That's what's important about this. Isolating this channel or that channel is not the right way to think about it. In the end, it's the real power of digital to drive the sale, to influence the sale. It's so important. In that same time period, more than half of total retail sales will be influenced by digital. At the moment, it's about 1 in 4. That's going to change dramatically, and that's where it gets really, really interesting. So what do I need to think about for this? How do I use digital in my proposition? Well, here are 6 things to think about. One is you have to deliver value everywhere. Online, offline, every touch point. It is all about, am I a smart shopper? And if digital doesn't help you do that, then it's not worth you spending money on it. You have to create not just an omni-channel experience, but a hyper-channel experience, so she comes to your various channels and not somebody else's. You have to touch her and him at every touch point where she connects with your brand, your store, your concept. You have to customize it. Michael talked about that with Saks' proposition. How do I make it feel like it's for her or him in a world where they have so many choices? We have to give them more reasons to buy, more reasons to come to every point of distribution. And in the end, it's all about emotional engagement. It's not just about the one-off sale, wherever we're trying to reach her. Digital needs to satisfy all of those points, otherwise it's not doing its job. Let me just give you 2 quick examples of retailers who are turning the digital platform on its head. Burberry just opened its new flagship store on Regent Street in London. They used their website as the model for the physical store. It looks like a stunning physical store, right? I mean, maybe not everybody's, but it's 3 floors. It's got a huge number of digital screens around the space. What they did was they actually put all their brands under one roof, whether it was their high-end Prosom or it was their Burberry Brit or some of the new lower-priced brands they're bringing into the proposition. All the brands in one space, not isolated in different stores. They created an event space where they can create activities. They've digitized the space, and here's what I mean by that. All those things that look like mirrors are absolutely mirrors, but they are also digital screens where, on one afternoon, it was a pretty scary shopper experience. They took the notion of the Burberry trench icon, right? And all of a sudden, this entire store turned into a rainstorm. The noise, the sound, the experience, I tell you, it nearly scared the knickers off me. It was a very stunning experience. It was like, what the heck was that? They created this totally new, engaging experience. On top of that, what looks like a normal space, if I take that coat and take the RFID tag on the sleeve and pass by that screen, that mirror, I will see the artisans making that coat. They've created brick, click, experience, digital engagement, all brands, every touch point that you can imagine. But it's not high-end only, it's also more commodity. So Tesco, the 3rd largest retailer in the world, the grocery retailer, does it in many ways. Lots of different size concepts, big stores, small stores, local stores, hypermarket stores. They created very early in the piece an online proposition, an iPhone proposition that you could order and make your shopping list and shop in the store. They've digitized everything where you can build your lists in store by just collecting information off UPC codes. They've created this extraordinary, 4D experience where if you want more about the product, you can actually get more about the product online or on your phone. And of course, they are the guys that did this. So when we think about this, I think this is a quote that's worth repeating. And what's worth repeating about it is that it's by a fellow who designs stores. Tesco's bold move into m-commerce is clear evidence that the store as we traditionally think about it is becoming, if not obsolete, at least woefully out of date. Even the word store feels a bit moss-grown, implying a fixed set of stocked piled items waiting for a shopper to pick them up. Retail is now about engagement. And engagement is about content and context, addressing the unmet needs, which is something people enjoy and share. That's the whole story now. It's not either or. It's a seamless experience of engagement where digital drives that experience. Rock and rolling, changing fast, put the shopper in the center, and you will begin to see this new digital shopperscape. Thank you.